Under the golden haze of an early morning sun, the soundstage lay still, almost sacred. The final scene of the last script was about to begin, a story that had haunted both the actors and the viewers from its very first frame. Xiao Zhan stood quietly by the window of the old, dust-layered studio, his eyes carrying a depth that spoke of sleepless nights and unspoken words. Across the room, Wang Yibo flipped through the script, his fingers brushing against pages that had rewritten their fates more than once. But this wasn't just another drama. This was the last script, a project that had already made waves before its release, a psychological thriller, a romantic enigma, and an emotional labyrinth all at once. It was said to be about two writers trapped between their own stories, but what it truly captured was the blurred line between acting and being. As the cameras rolled, everything began to feel eerily real. Xiao Zhan played Li Shen, a celebrated novelist known for his tragic endings and poetic solitude. His life was an endless cycle of writing and deleting, of chasing stories that no longer came. But one night, he finds a script on his desk, unsigned, unmarked, and unfinished. It tells the story of a man eerily similar to himself. The words are hauntingly familiar, as though written by someone who knew him better than he knew himself. Wang Yibo played Jian Yu, a screenwriter rumored to have vanished after his last project ended in mystery. When Li Shen begins to read further into the script, he discovers that the writer behind it, Jian Yu, was believed to have disappeared years ago after his last film ended in a tragic accident. Yet, everything Li Shen reads begins to happen in his own life. Every heartbreak, every encounter, every secret he thought buried. The tension between fiction and reality becomes unbearable when Li Shen finally meets Jian Yu in person. Their first scene together is cinematic lightning. The room is drenched in blue light, reflecting the moon's soft glow on the glass walls of the writer's den. Li Shen, exhausted and furious, throws the mysterious pages onto the table. Jian Yu picks them up slowly, a knowing smirk playing on his lips. "You read too much," Jian Yu says softly. "And you write too much," Li Shen replies. Their words cut through the air like steel, sharp and deliberate. The chemistry between Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo is electric, intense, almost dangerous. Fans who were on set described the energy as palpable, like watching two storms collide. But what no one expected was how deep the story would draw from their real lives. Behind the camera, Xiao Zhan began to question the script itself. Scenes that were supposed to be fiction began to mirror moments from his own life. His fears, his regrets, the nights he lay awake questioning his purpose. Wang Yibo, known for his quiet focus, seemed to know the lines before they were even rehearsed, as if he had already lived them. In one unforgettable sequence, Li Shen confronts Jian Yu about the script's ending. They are standing on a rain-soaked rooftop, the city below glowing like veins of light in the darkness. Water cascades down their faces as thunder rolls in the distance. "You wrote my death into your story," Li Shen yells, his voice cracking with emotion. Jian Yu steps closer, unflinching. "I wrote your truth." The camera lingers on their faces, Xiao Zhan's trembling rage and Yibo's haunting calm, and in that moment, the audience can no longer tell who's acting. The storm seems to respond to their emotions, the wind howling through the steel beams as if the world itself was listening. That scene, according to insiders, had no rehearsed ending. The director let them improvise, and what unfolded became the most raw, unfiltered moment of the entire series. Xiao Zhan later admitted that for a few minutes, he wasn't Li Shen anymore. He was himself, standing on the edge of something too real to name. As the story unfolds, the boundaries continue to disintegrate. Li Shen finds that every word he changes in the mysterious script alters his own future. Every decision is already written. Every dialogue echoes back from somewhere unknown. Jian Yu, ever the enigma, begins to appear in his dreams, sometimes as a friend, sometimes as a ghost, always just out of reach. The emotional crescendo arrives in an abandoned theater, where Li Shen discovers the truth. He was the one who wrote the first half of the script years ago, before losing his memory after an accident. Jian Yu had only found it and tried to finish it, unknowingly connecting their destinies. The scene is drenched in golden dust and silence. The projector flickers to life behind them, displaying fragments of their lives, their words, their broken confessions. As Li Shen watches the story unfold, he realizes the lines between creation and creator have vanished completely. "So this is it," Li Shen whispers. "Not the end," Jian Yu says. "Just the last script we'll ever write." The moment feels suspended in time, two souls trapped in their own narrative, yet finding peace within it. Off-screen, what makes the last script even more compelling is how it mirrors Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo's real artistic evolution. Both have spent years shaping their craft, navigating fame, pressure, and creative boundaries. This project, insiders say, was personal. They poured themselves into it. Every emotion, every hidden scar, every silence that words couldn't fill. During filming breaks, both actors were often seen sitting in silence, flipping through the same pages together, sometimes laughing, sometimes simply staring at the words. Crew members said it was hard to tell whether they were rehearsing or remembering. One of the final shots captures them standing on opposite sides of a massive wall of light. As the camera pans closer, the barrier flickers and fades, revealing their reflections merging into one. It's a breathtaking metaphor, one that speaks to friendship, rivalry, and the haunting bond between two artists destined to tell stories together. The soundtrack behind this scene, composed with haunting piano notes and orchestral echoes, adds a surreal layer to the moment. As the final credits begin to roll, Xiao Zhan's voice is heard narrating. "Every story has an ending, but the ones that change us, those never truly fade." And then silence. Viewers who've had the chance to see previews describe the last script as a masterpiece of emotional depth and visual poetry. The cinematography captures the fragility of time, the way moments fade but leave traces like ink stains on paper. The lighting alternates between soft sepia tones and cold blues, symbolizing the clash between memory and imagination. In interviews, both Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo described the project as transformative. Xiao Zhan said, "This story isn't about two people, it's about everyone who's ever tried to rewrite their own life." Wang Yibo, ever the quiet observer, added, "Sometimes you find yourself in someone else's story. And sometimes that's where you truly belong." Their on-screen chemistry has never been stronger. Each glance, each pause between lines, feels charged with meaning. Fans have taken to calling their partnership in this project the meeting of mirrors, a phrase that beautifully captures the essence of the film's theme. Two reflections that complete one another, even when fractured. The air on set was tense. So tense that even the sound of the wind outside the studio seemed to hesitate before passing through the window cracks. Xiao Zhan stood beneath a single spotlight, the weight of his character, Li Shen, pressing heavily against his shoulders. Across the dimly lit room, Wang Yibo, playing Jian Yu, leaned against the wooden desk littered with crumpled pages and broken pencils. The director whispered, "Action." And suddenly, the world outside the scene ceased to exist. Li Shen's trembling hands held a sheet of paper, a page from the mysterious script that had appeared on his desk days ago. The ink looked fresh, too fresh, as though someone had just written it. Yet when he scanned the lines, his heart froze. It was his own dialogue. Words he hadn't yet spoken. Moments that hadn't yet happened. He looked up, eyes locking onto Jian Yu, whose calm stare seemed to pierce straight through him. "How did you get this?" Li Shen demanded, his voice shaking. "I didn't," Jian Yu replied softly. "You did." The silence that followed was suffocating. Xiao Zhan's eyes widened. Pain, confusion, disbelief all colliding in one breathtaking instant. Wang Yibo didn't move, didn't blink, as if time itself bowed to his stillness. And for that heartbeat of a moment, it didn't feel like acting. Felt real. Later, behind the scenes, Xiao Zhan admitted that this was the moment he realized the last script was unlike anything he'd ever filmed. "It was as if the story started filming us," he said. "Not the other way around." The energy between him and Wang Yibo during those early scenes was almost supernatural. They both confessed to experiencing moments where they felt connected, as if one could anticipate the other's next move, next line, next breath. In one particularly haunting scene, Li Shen walks through his apartment late at night, only to find that every mirror reflects not his own image, but Jian Yu's. The reflections speak to him in whispers, repeating the lines from the mysterious script. The room flickers between light and shadow, the mirrors fogging with words written in condensation. End the story or it ends you. The director captured the entire moment in a single take. No cuts, no second chances. Xiao Zhan later shared that as the camera rolled, he could feel something strange in the air, like the story itself was alive, breathing through every reflection. When I looked into that mirror, he said, I didn't see my character anymore. I saw myself. Then came the first major confrontation between Li Shen and Jian Yu, a scene that left the entire crew speechless. The setting was a vast library with shelves towering toward an unseen ceiling. Dust motes danced in beams of amber light as Li Shen stormed through the aisles, the unfinished script clutched tightly in his hand. Jian Yu was waiting, seated calmly at the end of the room, surrounded by candles and papers that stretched endlessly across the floor. Li Shen threw the script onto the table, its pages scattering like fallen feathers. Why are you doing this to me? He shouted. Jian Yu smiled faintly, his tone soft yet haunting. Because you started it. Every emotion Xiao Zhan poured into that moment was raw, unrestrained. Wang Yibo's calm, measured response made the tension even more unbearable. As the two locked eyes, the candles flickered violently, one by one going out, until only a single flame remained between them. That was when the director decided to break from the original plan. The single candle flame became a symbol throughout the film, representing both connection and destruction. It was as if every time it appeared, reality warped a little further. The film's atmosphere continued to spiral into the surreal. In another unforgettable scene, Li Shen finds himself back at his desk, rewriting parts of the mysterious script. Every word he deletes causes an immediate change in his surroundings. Objects disappear, time shifts, sounds echo backward. When he tries to erase Jian Yu's name from the pages, the lights in the room flicker violently, and he hears Jian Yu's voice whisper right behind him. You can't erase me. You wrote me. The camera then pans slowly, revealing that Jian Yu is standing right there, in the same room. His reflection visible in every glass surface, though the real Jian Yu is nowhere to be found. The effect is chilling, blending technology and psychological terror in a way fans have never seen before from either actor. Behind the scenes, that sequence took 3 days to shoot. The lighting crew had to synchronize every flicker, every reflection. But the payoff was pure magic, one of the most mind-bending scenes ever filmed by the duo. What truly makes the last script unforgettable isn't just its suspense, it's the emotion running beneath the surface. The growing connection between Li Shen and Jian Yu isn't just rivalry, but something deeper. Two artists bound by the same story, searching for the truth about themselves. As the story progresses, Li Shen begins to realize that Jian Yu isn't merely another writer. He's a manifestation of his own repressed creativity, his forgotten passion, his other half. In a powerful monologue, Li Shen confesses, "You're the part of me that never stopped writing. The part that didn't give up when the world turned its back." And Jian Yu, looking at him with quiet intensity, replies, "Then finish what we started." The emotional gravity of that exchange left even the film crew teary-eyed. It wasn't just acting, it was art imitating life. The closing moments of Part 1 leave viewers at the edge of their seats. Li Shen burns the script, watching the flames consume every word, every truth. But as the fire fades, he sees something impossible. The same script reappears on his desk, perfectly intact, with a new page added at the end. On it, in the same familiar handwriting, are just 5 words. "This is not the end." The camera zooms in on Xiao Zhan's expression, shock, fear, and a quiet realization. Somewhere in the flickering light, Jian Yu's silhouette appears behind him, faint but undeniable. The screen cuts to black. As the credits roll, the theme song, a haunting piano melody with soft violin undertones, plays over images of torn pages floating in slow motion. The last thing viewers see is a close-up of the unfinished script, the ink slowly bleeding into the paper, forming the shape of a heart. The last script isn't just a story. It's a reflection on identity, artistry, and the unseen forces that shape our fate. It asks the question, when you write a story, does it also write you? With Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo's impeccable chemistry, breathtaking visuals, and a narrative that keeps twisting deeper into mystery, this series has already captured the imagination of millions. And this is only the beginning. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the last script part 1, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps these stories alive. And trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next in the last script part 2, where the line between creation and destiny completely disappears.